Right, here we go.
Hey, Lay.
Hey, Kibi, how are you?
Good. I'm just making sure we're live. Hold on. I think we're live.
It's looking like we're
We're
on
live.
Facebook. Yes, we are. Great to be with you today, Kibi. It's been a wonderful, wonderful day, and I'm thankful that we get to have a conversation today. And there's a lot of things that's been on my mind, and I'm going to be asking you some questions, Kibi, and I would love to hear your most inner thoughts. And really, these questions are really important to many of us out there, especially here in the inner circle. So, Kibi, before we get started, tell me a little bit about who you are.
Oh, okay. Well, let's see. I'm from North Carolina, born and raised. I'm married. I have two kids, Maddox Maisie. My husband's Jason. And I'm a full-time entrepreneur, business owner now. I don't work in healthcare anymore, but I did have a healthcare background for about 25 years. And just full-time business. I also run a coaching program, Coach Kibi. Many of you are in the Tips and Tricks Facebook group and following me because of that, and or because we're in business together, maybe in the same company or in the same industry. I love network marketing. I also love connecting, collaborating. I just talked to a gal today, not to get off like squirrel, but she's in another company and we just collaborated and met on a Zoom and just, compared notes and ideas. And it's so much fun to connect. So that's me. All my family lives here in North Carolina. Jason works for a company where he travels. So a lot of times I feel like a single mom, but I'm so glad and grateful that I'm full time. So I'm a full-time hands-on mom. Over the Christmas break, me and Maisie are planning on playing softball. So I get to be, and I got to enjoy her volleyball. And I just love being that full-time mom and having my own schedule. So, but with that requires a lot of discipline and working your business and staying ahead. And so, yeah, I can't wait to share with the questions today to maybe help some folks who are running business. Yeah.
Exactly. So, Kibi, being a full-time mom and wife, you have a family, you've had a career in IT, you also have your own coaching business, and you're also a network marketer. One of the questions that I would love to ask you, why is personal development important in not only your personal life, but in your professional life?
It's so interesting when you gave me some of the questions today, just so I can kind of mull over it and figure out how am I going to answer it. And I will answer this question, but I do want to bring up something real quick before I forget. I read a post today, and I won't mention where, but I read a post that said, everybody has trauma, but if you do not know how to take action in the trauma, you're going to need personal growth. That really hit me because I have a personality of action. So that works in my favor, that even through trauma, even through not having confidence, even through I was in a weight loss company and I weighed 270 pounds, but I still hit six figures. This is how I can attribute that. However, I do get personal development and I believe in it. But there are people that can just go do the thing because they take action through their trauma. Most people can't do that. So if you are not where you want to be, and I'm talking about financial, okay, because I'm not talking about spirit and health and mindset, I'm talking about finances. If right now you're worried about what's in your bank account and you're not earning the income you want to earn, you're not able to give back in your communities because you're barely surviving yourself, you got to be doing something different than what you're doing that got you in the place you are. So that means you're going to have to take action in a direction that's going to give you more income, right? But with that, unfortunately, the marketplace pays you for your skill. So even in healthcare, I started at the front desk, and this is how I know I'm a person that I can work through the trauma because of action. This is because I want to relate it to healthcare. Okay. Right. When I sat at the front desk, I started front desk. I ended up and become a supervisor in 6 months. Why? Because I hustled, I took action, I called all the shifts nobody wanted. I showed up, I plugged in, I took all the education, took all the training. I went through the management program. I said, I want to do it. I took action. Then I become a supervisor, then eventually a practice manager. I managed 5 urgent cares. Then I went on to roll out the EMR because I raised my hand and said, I want to do the electronic record. Nobody else wanted to do it. Nobody else knew about it. Everybody else was scared of it. But I took action, and it took personal development because I had to learn something new. I had to develop a new skill in order to do it. And it's amazing to me, Lay, that people do that in their jobs. If I were to go work today at Starbucks, okay, and I just might, y'all hear me say that, I put it in the atmosphere all the time. I love lattes. I need to know how to make them. I may just go work. Anyway, if I were to go work at Starbucks, I've got to learn a skill.
That's right.
And I better develop my skill, or there's 1,000 people lined up for my job. Okay. But I'll go learn that. I'll get up, I'll put on clothes, I'll get dressed, I'll put gas in the car, and I'll go do it. But in our own businesses, we're like, why I gotta learn that? I just signed up. Why ain't I made money? I know you don't think that way, but some people like literally like this needs to sting you because you've got to develop skill, and your plumbing skill is not network marketing skill. My healthcare IT skill was not network marketing. Now, could I use some of my customer service? Yes. Could I use some of my computer skills? Yes. But I have to learn new skill. So it was nothing for me, Lay, to take action, earn a check before I knew it all, earn as you learn. But in the interim, I'm learning. I'm learning. I want to know what's going on. In downtime, I'm learning. I'm taking classes. I hired coaches. I hired trainers. I did the thing. So personal growth is critical to becoming if the person you want to be. So wherever you want to be in 6 months to a year, you're going to have to learn skill and be really a different person than you are now.
Oh, absolutely. And what you just described there reminded me of myself when I was starting in the professional world. You know, no matter, even my summer job as a teenager, you had to learn the basics to do the job. And as you went along, you saw opportunity. You see, a lot of times people see opportunity, they shy away.
Right.
Because they don't have that mindset, and to get to that, to get to the next level, you have to learn new skills. And you said something that resonated with me again. Whatever my company was offering, and a lot of times it was free, you just have to show up once a week, you go to class. I was able to do the same thing.
Yep.
So that's why, like you said, you take action. Personal development / professional development.
Yes.
In order for us to get to that next level. And this question just popped up immediately when I was putting these questions together. So Kibi, I'm going to skip the second one that I asked you about, because I want to go into people, we want stuff, but a lot of times, we have goals for ourselves, right? And from your perspective, how can goal setting help someone achieve their objectives? What would be the steps for that person to actually put a plan together to actually reach the objectives, and then we can go from there? That makes sense.
Yeah, so with goals, it's so easy just throw that word around, but let me tell you, most people make goals and never hit them. And then the problem is you've lied to yourself so much you don't trust yourself. So I would recommend anybody struggling with goal setting and hitting goals. And I see people too, they'll make a goal, but then they're so distracted, like they don't have on their blinders, they're not focused, that they've got a new goal, a new challenge, and they're everywhere, right? In Journey into Happiness, Coach Daryl and I take a deep dive into goals, and Lay, you're in that class now for the second time. We take a deep dive. We do not believe in goals. We believe in SMART goals. They're totally different. We teach you why you've lied to yourself, because you've listened to all these coaches and trainers that it's not working. It's easy to tell somebody, oh, Lay, go make a goal. Woo, 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 wish upon a star. You have to set realistic goals, and you've got to set the goal that you want, not what your family wants, your friends want, your mom and dad want. Because a lot of people are carrying things and I don't want to go too deep here, but some people don't even know what they want. When you really, really ask, what's your goal? You don't even know. So it's first determining what goal you want, then you create those SMART goals, and then we take action. Remember, I'm a coach of action. So you've got Daryl getting in the inner core part, which is in Journey into Happiness, this course. He's getting into the core of the deep rootedness of why you're not able to focus on a goal, why you're everywhere, why you've lied to yourself, you don't trust yourself, you don't set goals because you never make it. Whatever is going on, he's working on that inner work. And then the next week, I'm taking the goal that you've finally worked through and we're putting in an action plan. So, we have our whiteboard training. But I would tell anybody sitting here, honestly, if you do not know what I just said to you, don't even set a goal. Because when you try to, you're going to lie to yourself. You're going to fail yourself again. And boom, there goes your confidence and your self-esteem even more. Because you keep lying to yourself. And it's sad, but you need real coaching and real training to get through this. So if you say, well, I'm going to lose 30 pounds and you've been saying that for 8 years and you constantly are telling yourself this, you're real excited this year, I'm going to do it, I'm going to do it. And you're doing all the thing, but then you don't do the thing because you don't even know how to do the thing. You've just set yourself back, your self-esteem, you've just set yourself back. So if you're struggling in this department, I will tell you need to sign up for Journey into Happiness, the next course ASAP.
Absolutely. And so, and actually the next question actually coincides with this.
Okay.
And you've already touched on it. And the question was, what is one thing that holds people back from achieving those objectives that they set for themselves? You just mentioned that, right?
Yeah, and it could be other things. It could be that people are, you'll hear coaches say, set the goal so big you'll never hit it. Well, yeah, right. Go ahead and try and do that and keep lying to yourself. You have to set something realistic. Okay, so when I was on my weight loss journey, I knew it would take a year, at least a year, to lose 100 pounds. You're not going to lose 100 pounds in 6 months. You can't do that. I mean, you physically can't do that. You can wish upon a star and you can dream it, but you've got to also put logic into play. Okay. So it's one thing, like you have a vision board, that's not goals. Visions are different, and how what you want and where you want to be in the future is different than a goal that you're saying, I want this by this date, and we're going to reverse engineer this thing and figure out how to go get it. Okay. So, but what happens is people make these big goals that they've not worked with someone on that are not even realistic. It's not realistic. The other thing is that people don't put times on things, and they don't have a reverse engineered action plan. So they're putting a goal on paper and they're staring at it and they're doing affirmations and they're doing their gratitude and they're doing all the stuff, but it don't happen because there's no action plan. Okay. And then the other thing I mentioned is that you don't even set a goal because you're like, why set one? You feel like a loser, and then you have no self-confidence. And there we go again. So it is a multitude of things. But what I found is that people who go through Journey, they start setting realistic goals. They take their action plans through the whiteboard training. And throughout the course, we are seeing results. We're seeing people in a better spot. We're seeing people with more confidence. They're taking their lack and putting it aside to make a good SMART goal. And then they start accomplishing these little small things that do matter. But we overlook the small things.
And I think a lot of us do that, Kibi.
Yeah.
And we miss, it's staring at us right in the face and we just miss it. Because like you mentioned, we set our goals so high, right? And it's really unrealistic, and the timeline to it, right?
Right.
And so the next thing and all of this is just coming together. Because one of the things that I've learned in Journey and in some of the classes as well is that you always talked and helped us to know what truly is time management. How do you really manage your time? Your professional life, your family, your faith, and those goals. How do you work in based on that plan setting your time. Time management is a very broad statement, right? And I think it's just kind of breaking it down to little pieces of time where you're going to do X, Y, and Z, right? And but with that said too, sometimes people get overwhelmed because they're looking at it. And again, you just talked about unrealistic goals and, you know, so Kibi, can you kind of wrap that time management, and what would you recommend for those of us, and I've been there, that would be just overwhelmed. And sometimes I just throw my hands up. I said, I can't do it. And you mentioned that.
Mhm.
We sabotage our own selves. in that
Right,
sense.
right. Well, I think, you came a long way because you're in your circle, you've taken every course. I'm a time management queen. I actually don't believe we manage time. I believe in priority management. So I can take someone who's really struggling, they're working a job, they're trying to do their business, they're trying to keep their home life in order, they're trying to work all the pillars, they're doing all the thing, they're juggling all these plates. I can take someone and do time logs in 1 week and show them where they're missing time, where they're not really, their priorities are not right. And we don't take out a family, families first, faiths first, those things are important, but there are pockets of time we're not utilizing and we're not multitasking when we could. So there's times that we cannot multitask. We need pure focus. For example, if I do an hour with each child every day, no electronics, that's my priority. Okay. So each of my children get an hour with me if it's just sitting there staring at each other. Nothing with a power button can come on. And that was hard at first because you were staring at each other like, what do we talk about? Well, let's find something. Now we have a lot. But at first, it's really crazy, like how electronics have taken our life over. But we started that as a goal. And anyway, that's important to me. I'm not multitasking. Like that is a time with my kids. Okay. But when I'm cleaning, I could be listening to personal development. Okay. Because we all got to clean our house, right? We all have to like do grocery shopping and things like that. So, on your commute in your car, you could have something in your ear that could help you learn and do more instead of music, which is helping us go backwards, right? So there's ways we can multitask in those pockets of time. But I always say that it's a priority management, not time management. And I would say if you're struggling in this area and you can't get it together and it's been a pattern, and if you're overwhelmed, it really just means you don't have your day scheduled. You need to hire somebody, I'm not saying me, but somebody to help you with this skill, because it's a skill. It's a skill. And it's real important in business because you don't have anybody saying, hey, Lay, you got to do a Zoom. Hey, Lay, you got to do this. You got to do this. You got to do this. Like you do a boss. We are so used to going to jobs and people telling us, here's the task. Here's our schedule for the day. Right. And we're so used to that when we get out on our own and it's our business, we're not doing that. We're not giving ourselves our task. And you've got to learn to do that. You've got to learn to be your own boss. And again, that's a skill.
Yeah, because I think a lot of us that was, in the workforce, and I'm also no longer in the workforce. I retired last year. And just like you, Kibi, you're working your business full time and you have multiple businesses. So think about that when you still had your multiple businesses and worked a full-time job. You did that for many, many years.
Yep.
Right. And I did the same thing. But the thing is, you're right. We go to our job, there's a task, there's a schedule, and everything is there set for you. Right. So, and you can it could be a totally 10-hour day, including the commute time. Right. And so take away that then, and you set time aside for your family. See, that's important. I think a lot of us forget is that we need to make time for our family as well, even though we have our own businesses. I think that's healthy. And that's one of the pillars, right? Faith and family, we have that time. So Kibi, all what we just discussed, I think is so important that for those of you who are watching today, think about it, because we all need personal development, professional, continued education. That's what I call it. Continued education. Because Kibi, one of the things that I've learned from you over the last 4 years is you're always on that cutting edge. You're always looking what the trends are out there, what's changing in social media. It can be in your type of coaching that you're doing. There's so many things changing all the time, Kibi. And so again, if you're watching this, I highly recommend that you get with Kibi and talk to her, let her know what are your goals for the next year, for example. So Kibi, the last question I wanted to ask, and this is kind of going to wrap everything up. Every year, in a couple of weeks, 2023 is going to be here, right?
Mhm.
Every year, millions of people, including myself, I've done this, set resolutions. And you know what? Majority of those resolutions goes out the door within the first to second week. That's
Mhm.
what statistics says. So why this New Year's resolution, why doesn't it work for most of us? I think it's because we have no plan.
Right. Right. And then just the word resolution, I would rather call it reset. You hear me say that a lot. Like every year, I'm like, let's time to reboot. It's time to reset. It's time to recalibrate and
Mhm.
really reflect. That's a better word too. I would rather see
love
people
that.
reflect on what they did and what do they don't want this year. More so of what you think you want. Like, yeah, what you want is great, but what do you don't want? Like, let's write down that. Like, what do we know we don't want? So I know for me, a couple years ago, what I did not want was that job. So I had, like you said, I worked a job, I worked all these businesses, but I was on a hamster wheel. Because here's the reality. Yes, you can do that part time, but your business will pay you part time.
Mhm.
Okay. I want full time income. I wanted my business to pay me more than my job. I wanted that well, what happens is it never did because I never put the full-time effort. We
Right.
get back what we put out. So if you have a job and you work your business and that's an extra stream, that is fine. That's your goal. I'm talking about me. So for me, I was tired of working on that hamster wheel every night, every day. And yeah, I had extra income, but I'm like, sometimes I really sat back and reflected why in 12 years, or actually 10, why in 10 years have I not went full time? I did it one time in the first company, but then 8 years in another company, never went full time. Then so I wanted to reflect on what I did and put an action plan and a goal in place for that year to give myself a year to get full time. So that wasn't a resolution. It was more of reflection and looking at what I don't want and then go make a goal of making it happen. I think people set resolutions and I'm always like, hey, that's great. At least they're trying, but people go with the trends and go with the flow and it's all fun first couple weeks and then it gets real hard. And I think to answer your question, a lot of people fail at what they're doing in their new year. If it's money, if it's health, whatever, they're taking on because they don't have a coach.
Yeah.
So if I were to go work out, and I hate working out, okay, but if I was to say I'm gonna start working out January 2nd, and I go try to work out by myself, that's an epic fail. But if I go meet a coach, a trainer, and I pay somebody to show me what to do and meet with me and keep me accountable, if I will stick with it for 30, 60 days, I'll stick with it. But if I go and show up in that gym with no coach, no trainer, no accountability, chances are real slim. Now, I'll tell you another thing too, just talk about resolutions. This is any goal really. When I went to have gastric bypass, my doctor told me 2% make it, meaning losing weight and keeping it off. 2%. 98% of people who have gastric bypass gain the weight back.
Wow.
I knew the stats. I knew the odds were against me, but I said, I won't be that stat. What have I got to do to make sure that doesn't happen to me? So I have to see my dietitian a lot every 3 months, even though insurance don't pay it no more. It's not required anymore. I still see my dietitian every 3 months. Okay. I went through a lot of psychiatric work, mental work. I hired a coach, mindset, because a lot of my weight was emotional and mindset. The surgery helped. Yeah, it was a tool. It only helps for a year. after a year, you better make change, or the surgery itself is you can stretch the stomach. The stats are there. People gain weight. Many are, you are watching, if you know somebody, they probably gained weight back because it's the way it is. So I went in knowing that. And I said, I'm not going to be a stat. And I asked my doctor, what do I need to do to make sure I'm not part of that 98%? And he told me, you always stay plugged in your dietitians. You always keep an eye on your RMR and certain lab works. You always have a coach. You always have a trainer. You know, you're always doing these things. So if people would go into resolutions with reverse engineering the logic of how to get there realistically, putting coaches in place, accountability, developing the skill you need, you're going to win. But if you go into anything without those items, it's going to be very tough. That's just my opinion, though.
No, I just love what you said, you know, it's because I don't like the word resolution really. I mean, I love, you know, you mentioned it's a time to reflect, restore, and reset.
Yes.
And I think too, for some people, it may be a recovery thing, right? Just kind of like,
Right.
And one of the important things I heard today is really find someone that you can work with, a coach, a mentor, someone that you can go to. And a lot of times, you know, one of the recommendations that I've heard from people in the industry is like, find someone that's not a relative, for example. But you can still have relatives or friends that you're close to that can help you. They're an encourager, they're there to help you to move on. But I think, you know, like for you, Kibbe, you know, you went through, that was a huge undertaking for you, right? To go and have gastric bypass. But see, you went through a time period where you followed the recommendation, the steps that was presented to you before you had the procedure.
Right.
You have to emotionally get to the place to where, you know, this is going to happen. So there's going to be a lot of things happening in our minds, in our bodies, in our spirit. Using your journey. I mean, think about that. And whatever you're doing today in your professional life, for example, that's why we're here. And that was one of the things, Kibbe, and you helped me to kind of pull me out, because I was one of those people that I didn't ask for help. I did everything by myself. You know, if I couldn't do it, you know, nobody else could do it. And I had those trust factors. So little by little, taking classes and being mentored by you, little by little, things kept breaking off, where I would, you know, welcome help. And it wasn't that I didn't, you know, welcome it, but in a lot of ways I didn't, because I wanted to do it Lay's way. And a lot of times it wasn't working. So whatever it is that you are out there are watching today, you know, think about what it is, because I am truly thankful that I have a coach that can coach me, and I have other people as well. But find someone that can help you with, you know, whatever your goals are, because Kibbe, we all need to have a coach in what we do. We all need that person or persons that we can go to that we trust, and then where we are able to accept criticism and constructive criticism and praise as well, right? And someone that's going to be truthful and tell you exactly how it really is, right? Instead of, you're not going to sugarcoat things. See, that's what I don't like, because I can smell someone right away if they're just telling me something just to make me happy, or just to make, you know, I just want people to be upfront with me, whether I agree with them or not. But in the long run, believe me, in the long run, it's going to be the best thing that has ever happened to you. Because for myself, and I'm still learning. I'm thankful I have a coach, because I never thought about hiring a coach, Kibbe, until I found you. I never did. I mean, I took a lot of personal development classes, but you take the class and that's it. I don't see them again. And that's the difference.
Right.
And here in the inner circle, I have a lot of time with you. Of course, we said it, but I have more time that if I went out and I took a course and I stayed there for 5 hours, took all the copious notes and left,
Mhm.
right? But I didn't have the ongoing mentorship along the way after I left that. So
Right.
QB, thank you so much. And is there anything you want to leave us today, some parting words about, goals and, mindset and vision and, what reset in your life?
Yeah, I would say make it a goal that you're going to invest in yourself. And there's a lot of good free stuff online, but the free can only take you so far. So, like my first year in network marketing, I listened to a lot of Zig Ziglar, Jim Rohn, Wayne Dyer. There is so much out there free. And then you're going to have, but then, like after a year, I had leveled up because you're going to level up, and that free is not going to do anything anymore. You're going to have to invest. And here's another thing when I talk about investing in yourself, if you take a course or you hire a coach or whatever, that's a seed you're sowing into yourself. You're going to get that back. There's a harvest from that. So not only is it a tax write-off for your business, it's a win-win-win. There's a triple wins because the seed you're sowing, and I may be talking to some of you who are coaches. If you are a coach, but you're not hiring coaches, the chances of someone hiring you as a coach is not going to happen because you will get what you receive, right? You'll receive what you give. Network marketers, if you're out here trying to hustle and build teams and grab customers, but you're not a good customer, how are you going to get a customer, right? So I'm always like, if you want a customer, be a customer. Invest in you. I would say, New Year is coming. Maybe you've got some reflecting to do, some resetting to do. If you're looking for courses that you want to invest in yourself, number one, I have a workshop, 2023 workshop. It runs January through March. It's about an hour a month, and we'll probably break it up in 20-minute segments because of the content. I may meet 30 minutes, we'll wing it. I have content prepared. However, things are subject to change based on the audience. So depending on what y'all need is what I deliver. In the first month, we do go through creating your story, setting those goals and putting that on a vision board, which is huge. The second month we go in and it's all really network marketing based, or if you're building coaching or something like that, so recruiting, the sponsoring, the gathering customers, overcoming your own inner issues that are attracting what you're getting. Then the third month we talk about promoting, educating, and dealing with your own insecurities. So it's going to be a great workshop. I would encourage you to do that. The other two courses that will be up and running here in the CCC is the 4 agreements, which if you can't take the course, at least get the book. Get the book and read it. It's a great book. It teaches you the agreements, how to break agreements. The course, the book study, actually allows you to collaborate with other people, and then you're breaking. Coach Daryl and I help you break agreements, break those old agreements, develop new agreements, and we really go in deep collaboration with that. You don't get that from the book. Then Journey into Happiness. We run that course about 3 times a year. It's really about working the 5 pillars of life: time management, balancing, how to set goals, SMART goals, how to put them in action. We meet tonight, Lay. I think our topic tonight is forgiveness, right? I love it. It's one of my favorite weeks. How to forgive others and yourself, and how that's a crucial part of building business or anything you're out here trying to do. So we take deep dives into these subjects, and it's group collaboration. So because it's group, we're able to keep costs down where you're not hiring a coach one-on-one. So the market value of the course is way underpriced, but very reasonable and affordable for people to do, to have 2 coaches with over 40 years experience between Coach Daryl and myself. So I believe the CCC is a great place to start. If you never invested in yourself, you're definitely going to get what you pay for and what we promise. We're coaches that deliver. We don't just hand recordings out and say bye. So if you are watching and you're thinking about a course, all you got to do is message me. I think my email, it's in the comments too. So if you don't want to message on Facebook, you can send me an email as well. So with that, that would be my closing out, is invest in yourself. If it's not this community, think about somewhere. I would recommend like Tony Robbins, depending on what, you could even message me and ask who I recommend for different topics. So, I just say like Tony Robbins is really good for mindset. I'm trying to think, John Maxwell's a great alternative too. Those coaches are high dollar though. You're not going to get out for less than 10 grand. So for those types of coaches, but real results. So when people go through those courses, they get results, no doubt. So, but I would just say invest in yourself. Blake, thank you for the time. Thank you for the interview. Everybody here in the tips and tricks, thanks for watching. If you do watch, you can leave a comment. Let us know where you're dialed into. So, but we can hop off, Blake.
Okay.
All right. Thanks, y'all. We'll talk to you soon.